everybody, welcome back to the Bible Bus. So today we are going to be going over Proverbs chapter 6, and the title of this message is called Playing with Fire. So everyone likes fire, but you don't want to play with fire, because if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. So we're going to go to chapter 6 of Proverbs. Just read a little bit from the Bible. Now this is the King James Version, so it's an Old English, but it's a formal equivalent, so it's a word-for-word translation. So we're just going to read over Proverbs chapter 6. So verse 27, can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth in to his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her, shall not be innocent. So this is speaking of adultery. Exodus chapter 20:14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So this is one of the 10 commandments, and this is where it's written. Very popular scriptures about the 10 commandments given by God to Moses. And so it's also in the New Testament, the Old Testament and the New Testament, in Matthew chapter 19. He saith unto him, which? Jesus said, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So Jesus quoted the 10 commandments here to this rich young ruler. And the commandment that we want to focus on today is thou shalt not commit adultery. And so it's still valid. Nothing has changed since the Old Testament or since the days of Jesus. Still, adultery is still wrong. It's still a sin. And we're still commanded not to commit adultery. We'll go to Proverbs. This is just wisdom. It doesn't even make sense to commit adultery. But sin normally doesn't make sense. It's pleasurable for a season. The wages of sin is death. And so, we want to follow God and keep His commandments. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 27. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her, shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he's hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. And so it's written of in the Proverbs. Moses gave the commandments of God, and in Proverbs here it says that can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned. If you're playing with fire, you're going to get burned. And so people who commit adultery, it's like playing with fire. And so it's a sin. So now, what is adultery? What is the definition of adultery? How do we define what adultery is? Because it is an older word, not everyone understands it, but we'll just go to the Bible and see what the Bible calls adultery. It's very plain. Mark chapter 10. And verse 11. Now this is Jesus speaking. And he saith unto them, Whosoever shall put away his wife, and marrieth another, committeth adultery against her. And if a woman shall put away her husband, and be married to another, she committeth adultery. And so if we just go by the Bible, by the words of Jesus, we see that adultery is when a man or a woman shall put away his wife and marry another, committeth adultery. Or a woman puts away her husband and marries another, she commits adultery. And so it's not just going into your neighbor's wife, sneaking around, having an affair. That is not total definition of adultery, because we can also commit adultery by divorcing our husband or wife and marrying another. And so it's not just an affair. When you marry someone who is divorced, you are committing adultery. So that's why we shouldn't marry people who have been divorced, or we shouldn't get divorced at all. Now, divorce happens and we can be forgiven, but there's a biblical remedy for divorce. And we'll just go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. This is speaking of marriage and divorce. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. So this is a commandment from the Lord. This is a commandment from God. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away or divorce his wife. And so, if there is a divorce, if the husband or wife departs or divorces, they should remain unmarried or be reconciled to their husband or wife. So if they're, God forbid, you have a divorce in your marriage, you need to make it right. Not go marry somebody else, because if you marry somebody else, according to Jesus, you're committing adultery. And so this is very basic doctrine. This is what used to be believed and taught for many, many, many years. It's now being challenged, and so we just want to set it straight. We want to set the record straight. We just want to be playing with people. We want to stand for marriage, stand for one wife, one husband, not multiple divorces, multiple marriages. We don't condone that. We commanded to have one God. We can't have multiple gods. We have one husband, one wife. That's the biblical commandment. And if we go outside of that, that's committing adultery. So it's simple, it's plain. That's Christian. That's the Bible. It's not me. That's straight from the Bible. And so if you are watching this video, if you're listening, we would love to help you do a Bible study with you. Young men, young women, it's good to be married. It's beautiful. But we want to follow the Bible, the way that the Bible gives us the directions, because everything else is just, it turns into a big mess. And so with God's help, we can do it. So if you have any questions, call me, text me, email, send me a message, and we'll have more videos coming soon.